Welcome to an RPG in a Box Basics video tutorial. In this video, we're going to take a look at the quests editor. We'll talk about how to set up a quest and how to complete a quest, that sort of thing, how to fail a quest. And then we'll also take a look at some of the variables and things you have available to you if you want to build like a quest journal, that sort of thing. Okay. Now, this isn't going to be a walkthrough on how to create a quest, because there are many different aspects to quests, not just the quest editor, but you've also got things like the dialogue editor for having NPCs give you quests, items for things that you can pick up, collect as part of your quest. You might have quest objectives like kill an enemy, that sort of thing. So we're not going to cover all of those sort of things in this video. If you want to follow a guide that walks you through how to create a simple quest so you can get an idea for how it all comes together, then I'll put a link in the description of this video to my starters guide video, where I have actually done a walkthrough from beginning to end of how to make a simple fetch quest. Okay. But what I want to do in this video is just introduce you to the quest editor. If you're new to RPG in a Box, you want to know how to make a quest and the sort of things that are available to you as part of quests in RPG in a Box, then that's what this video is going to be about. So let's start off with the quests editor. The quests editor is found along the top here, and it's in the quests tab. And then what you'll do is you'll click on the green plus button here, and it will create a new quest. So we'll click the add quest button, and then it will create a new quest, and you'll see it appear here. And then you can change the name over here. So let's call this quest for the key, and then you can have a description. This will appear in the sort of quest journal, telling you, what the point of the quest is, what your objectives are, that sort of thing. Or you can fill in a bit of the backstory for this quest. So for now, let's just say you have been tasked with finding a key for the treasure chest. Okay, so there's your sort of description. Okay. Next, we have the completion and failure scripts. So these are scripts that you can write in the script editor. And then once you've created them and saved them, you can then go back to the quest editor and you can assign those scripts to these two events. So the completion script will be what happens when a quest is completed, and the failure script will be what happens if you fail a quest. So pretty self-explanatory. And then you can even give quests certain tags. So like this is the main quest, or or this is a side quest, or whatever. Give it whatever tags you want, right? So that is the quest editor and how to create quests. Okay. So now let's, once you've done that, that's your first, essentially, that's your first quest kind of done. Okay. You can then add another one if you wanted to, a secondary quest. So, kill the goblin, whatever. And then you'd have your, objective. I've been tasked to kill the goblin, or whatever quests you want to do. Right. Let's stick with this one for a moment. So we've got this quest, okay? How do you then give the quest, complete the quest, fail the quest, that sort of thing? So that is done via the script editor. So let's make a new script, and we'll write a script called give quest. And then we'll go to the visual script editor. We'll delete the initial node. And then if you search for quest in the available functions, you'll see all the, barring those, because they've just got the word quest in them, but they've got nothing to do with quest, because this is how we just search for quest and that word is in it. So ignore the bottom two. But these top three, they're all the scripting commands that are available to you for handling quests. So the first one is obviously complete quest. So whenever you want to complete a quest, you'll put this into a script, and then you'll point it at the quest that you want to complete, and it will complete that quest. So this script obviously shouldn't do that because it's the give quest one, but we've also then got fail, and then that will fail the quest that you pointed at. And then we've got the relevant one, in this case, give quest, and that will give the quest. And obviously this will be a drop-down list of all of the quests that you've created in the quest editor. So if you don't see your quest here, make sure you've saved it first, otherwise it won't be in here. Okay, so if we now save this script, we've now got a give quest script. So at any point in our game, we can call this script give quest, and it will give the quest to the player. So this could happen in a dialogue, for example. I'm not going to do it, but just to quickly show you, you could have dialogue with an NPC, and the NPC says, please do this, fill out your dialogue, and then you'll throw a script node in at the end, and then this script node, click resource, and in my case, click give quest. And now at this point in the dialogue, it's going to give that quest to the player, okay? And this can also be where you complete quest and where you fail quest. So those same nodes, these ones here, you'd have a complete quest and you'd drag that in, and fail quest, you drag that in, you'd have your fail and complete scripts, and those would go into dialogue or wherever they should happen, right? They don't have to be triggered by dialogue. They could be triggered when you step on a tile, could be triggered when you kill an enemy, could be triggered when you pick up something. Any event in RPG in a Box where you can assign a script, as long as that script has one of these free quest commands in it, that it will do something to do with quests at that point in time, okay? So we don't need the dialogue though, so we'll get rid of that. So let's delete that. So sticking with scripts, let's take a look at when you're how do you deal, what other things are available to you as part of the quest side of things. So if you see this, if you look at the code part of here, so when you've got two parts to the visual script editor. You've got the top part, which is the visual script editor, where you can drag and connect all the nodes and things, but always down below you'll have the box side code, which is the actual behind the scenes type language that RPG in a Box uses, which the visual script editor essentially builds for you as you connect and disconnect nodes. So if we take a look at the actual text, it's give underscore quest, and then inside the speech marks it has quest 0001. What's that? Well, if we go to the quest tab, here's our quest, and if we look at the very top here, you can see ID quest 0001. So this is the ID, the identification of this quest here, okay? And we can use this for giving, failing, completing a quest, but we can also use it to look up the text, for example. So we'll take a look at that in a moment. But let's save the game quickly, and I think it's already saved. So let's go into game and just give ourselves the quest and see what it looks like. So here we are in the game, so I can move around. If I open up the management screen and I click the scroll log, the quest log, there's nothing in there because we haven't got the quest yet. Okay, so if we close the management screen, and I will bring down the developer console and I will type execute or exec, which will basically allow us to run a script remotely, i.e. from the console, and we'll run the give quest script that we made, okay? Because we didn't assign it to anything, so we'll just run it directly, okay? Now that will have given us the quest. Now, obviously, when you run these commands, whether it be give quest, complete quest, fail quest, there's no visual indication on screen that that's happened. So you'll need to do that yourself as well. We'll take a little look at that afterwards. But if we open up the management screen again, now you can see in the quest log, we've got the title, the quest for the key, and we've got the description. You've been tasked with finding a key for the treasure chest. Okay? So that's the quest now effectively active. Okay? Now I'm going to bring down the console and I'm going to show you a couple of things that are useful to know about quests when it comes to advanced scripting. Okay, obviously if you're starting out with this might be stuff you don't use immediately, but it's good to for you to know this stuff as you're learning how to use quests. So if we print, which basically print is a command that allows you to see various bits of hidden data. Okay, so we're going to print the player.quests property. Okay, and it returns what's called an array. And an array basically is a variable that holds multiple bits of information at once. In this case, it's only holding one thing, but it can hold plenty of other things. Okay, so what this is this is an array that's stored on the player character by default that holds all of the active quests. Okay, so at this point in time, you can see that inside the array is the ID of the quest we made, quest 0001. So this will allow us to check, do we have any current quests running? If there's something in this array, then there are quests running. If we complete the quest, we can do this manually here. So let's just complete quest, and we'll just pass in quest 0001. So this would be the equivalent of putting this particular command in a script and running it, but we can run the command, any command you can run directly from the console. That's now completed the quest. Okay, again, no notification pops up, so you have to do that manually yourself as part of the script that you build. But if we open the management screen again, you can now see that the quest log is empty because it's done. It's completed that quest. So if we reprint the player quests variable or property, now you can see that the array doesn't contain quest 001, because part of completing a quest is it also removes any quest IDs from your quests property. So you can use the player.quests property, as I say, to check if you've got any active quests running and what they are, because you can use the ID to then check, what is that quest. And if there's nothing in the array, if it's just like it is here, it's just empty, then that's an indication you don't have any quests. You've either failed one, or you haven't been given one, or whatever the reason is, but you don't have any active quests. Okay, so that's one thing to be aware of. Okay, and then the other thing to be aware of is the quest codex. Now, you don't need to understand what codexes are, but I'm just going to refer to it as that because that's what it is. The codex is essentially it's like a database. Okay, so when you make something in the quest editor or the item editor, it doesn't matter which editor it is, but most of the editors use a codex. Okay, so when you make a quest, it is a codex. It's a database, and it holds various pieces of data. Okay, so what we can do is we can pass in the ID. So if we pass in quest 0001, okay, let's do print. Sorry, let's press to print this so you can see what's in it. So if we print what's inside the quest 001 codex, okay, if we print that, you can see it returns all of the things that are in our script editor. Quest editor. So we've got the ID, quest 001, we've got the name, quest for the key, we've got the description, you've been tasked with finding a key for the treasure chest. We've got any tags we gave it. I don't think we saved any, so that's why it's blank. But we did initially write main and side, but I didn't save them. If you've got an image name, then the image will be there, etc. So if you want to grab specific things from the codex, from the database, then you'll use these bits of text here: ID, name, description, tags, etc. So let's say we just wanted to know what the name of a certain quest is. We can type print and then quest, the ID of the quest. So quest 0001. Again, you can get the ID from the quest editor, top right corner. Pass in the ID and then put a dot and then the thing. So just to go over that again. So you print, and then it's quest, and then in square brackets, the ID of the quest, and then dot, and then just the thing you want to look up. I want to look up the name. I want to look up the description. Okay. So those should be helpful to you when building out your scripts. So let's talk about how to visually update the player so that they're aware that they've been given a quest. So going back to our give quest, at the moment we're giving the quest, but there's no indication that that's happening. So what you can do is you can then throw in a display message, or you can create a widget that you can have pop up on the screen if you want a bit more visual control of what it looks like. But for now, we'll just do a quick display message, and we'll just quickly edit that message. Something like that. And then what we can even do is we can write color equals hashtag FF00 00FF00. That should be green. And then, so there's a little bonus trick for you there of how to color text. Put the color tag equals and then the hex code for your color. So that's your RGB. So if you want to look up the color you want, you can grab that hex code, put it in there. And then when you want to not use the color, put a brackets / color at the end. So that should now give us a colorful message on the screen that tells us we've been given the quest. So if we execute our give quest script, then you have something like that. It actually notifies the player that, they've been given a quest. And as I say, it doesn't have to be a message box. You could create a widget in the user interface editor. You could have that appear in the top, so show the widget rather than display a message. But, you get the idea. That is pretty much all there is to say about quests. The other thing I should mention as well, if you want to have different stages to a quest. So, for example, you don't just want to fail a quest, but you also want to have, for example, maybe this quest has different stages. So you've been tasked with finding a key for the treasure chest, but maybe once you've found the key, it's still the same quest, but then it's another task. So now you've found the key, you've got to rid the cave of goblins or something, or bats or whatever, right? So to do that, what you need to do is it actually needs to be a separate quest, okay? So in this case, you wouldn't treat these as entire quests, but you'd just treat them as stages of a quest. So you'd add again, this would be called quest for the key, but then you put your next description in. Now you have the key, you must rid the cave of all enemies. Okay, and then that will be quest. It will be quest 002. But when you complete this objective and want to give the player immediately the next one, then in your script for your complete quest. So let's just quickly do that. So complete quest A, let's say. You will then obviously have a complete quest. So let's just do that. And make sure, obviously they're named the same, so that's not too helpful in this case, but just look down here and make sure the ID is right. So we want to complete quest 1, and then obviously have a message. For now, we'll just have, quest for the key updated in this case, because it hasn't been actually been completed. Even though it is completing quest 001, as far as we're concerned, the actual quest for the key, isn't over yet. And then you'll immediately after that give quest. This is where you would then give quest 2. You would have another, you wouldn't need another display message because you're just updating it, right? If we now save that script, we can then test. So if we bring down the console and we first of all execute give quest, we get our quest for the key. So if we click off, press I, we can see quest for the key. You've been tasked with finding a key for the treasure chest. Okay, so let's say we've done that. We've picked up the key. So the script would be triggered to complete quest A. And then it says quest for the key updated. I didn't put the color in, but you get the idea. Okay. And now if we press I, you can see now you have the key. You must rid the cave of all enemies. So behind the scenes, all it's doing is it's completing one quest and giving you another. But visually, it just looks like the first quest has been updated to the next objective. Okay. So that's how to use the quest editor. It's kind of simplistic. It's really just, you complete and fail quests. But if you want to have longer winded quests, then you would treat each quest as a stage, right? And you could tag. This is where the tags come in. So for example, this could be key quest, and then this could also be key quest, and that kind of ties them together because they've got the same tag. And then when you have another quest, not sure what you'd have. Let's say Bob's book or whatever. Then you could give this a different tag. Right, so it's separate from the first two. Lots of different ways you can go about it. It's really just to show you, give you an idea of how it works. So with that all demonstrated, that should give you an idea of how to use the quest editor. Okay. Now, as I say, there's far more to quests than just the quest editor, because you've got to take into account any dialogue, any items you want the player to pick up, any enemies you want to kill. And I haven't covered those in this video. I just wanted to talk about the quest editor and how you actually create quests and what the variables and properties are that you have available to you for quests, such as the player quests array to see whether they've got any quests active, and also the quest database that you have access to in scripts. So, for example, if you wanted to show the name of the quest at any point, for example, just to show you how you would dynamically do this, if we go to our quest script, the one that gives the quest, let me just find it. Here we go. So at the moment we're hard coding this message, right? We're typing it in manually. But what we could do is, before we do this, we disconnect that. We could assign a value and create a local variable. This one, we'll call it quest name, and it's going to equal, I don't think we can do it from here. We could try codex. Yeah, maybe we can. Yeah. And then you'd change where it says codex and you type quest. Annoyingly, codex goes away. So we'll do this first. Is this going to work? No, forget that. Forget that. We'll do it this way. So you type quest and then pass in the quest ID. So in this case, 0001, and then dot name. Okay, click OK. So now that variable equals quest name. And then in our message, we can end the string, do a plus dollar quest name. So we're going to put this variable in, then put a plus, and then go back to the speech marks and do that and apply and save. Okay, so now we've got a variable in the middle of our display message that should, instead of being hard coded, it's grabbing the name from the actual quest. Okay, so when we play and we execute the give quest script, okay, this bit of text here has not been typed by me into the display message. It's grabbed it from the quest codex, the database. Okay, so that should give you an idea of how you can also do the same thing, whether it's be to show it on the user interface, whether it be for whatever. And we will cover how to make a custom quest journal at a later stage. But for now, we're just going to focus on what are the quests things you have available for you. So hopefully this bit made sense. It's a bit advanced using variables and strings in messages if you've not done that before. But in essence, all we're doing is we're just grabbing the name that we typed for our quest. We're grabbing it from the back end, as it were. We're grabbing it from the internal database, and we're then using it as the message that pops up rather than us manually typing this into the display message, okay? And then you can do the same with description and all of that, okay? So that will wrap up this video on quests. Hopefully it's been a good introduction and it hasn't been too complicated. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask on the Discord. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this. But for now, that will wrap up this video on the quest editor. Stay tuned for the next tutorial.